Hi, everyone. How's it going? Good. OK, everyone actually said good, which is fun because sometimes you're like, how's everyone doing? And everyone's just like, yeah! That's not actually the answer to the question. And I demand precision. But hello, everyone. It's so nice to have you here. Hello out there in live stream land. My name is Avramescu, and I am the head of customer education and Optiverse at Optimizely. Optimizely is an experimentation platform, so we help you experiment with different experiences on the web, mobile, server side, and then personalize and make recommendations based on what you find. So lots to educate customers about there. But why am I here today? I'm here because I think in 1 to 2 years, max, somebody is going to be standing up here or on the big stage, and they're going to be saying, customer education is a critical component of the customer success discipline. And if you don't have a mature customer education platform, you have fallen behind. So I'm going to help you make that business case today. All right, so let's talk about what is customer education. So I think that one of the things that we do every day as customer success managers and customer success teams is educating customers. More educated customers will adopt our product more. They will stay with us, they will expand, and they will have better LTV because they're constantly finding new opportunities to stay with us. But how do we educate them? Just by a show of hands, I'm curious, who has a customer education program in their customer success program today? Okay, quite a few of you. I saw a few of these too, that's okay, because we're going to talk about maturity. So when you think about customer education and the maturity of your program, what actually happens? What do you actually do to educate customers? Is it this? Am I doing it right? Is that customer education? This is actually a problem in a lot of cases, that I think what we think is customer education is more accurately described as the process of opening up our CSM's head and taking the big package of knowledge out and then opening up the customer's head and just trying to cram it in, and we don't really see the effects of that downstream. We don't see adoption. We don't see retention. We don't see customers actually doing the types of things that we want them to do. So with that said, applause, that's the end of my presentation. No, I'm kidding. No, thank you for the pity clap. No, I want to explain a little bit why we don't see the effect that we want to see. Because I think a lot of the time when we do this knowledge dump style of education, we're stripping the information of the context that the customer actually needs. So to demonstrate, let's run an experiment. Optimize is an experimentation platform. So I'm gonna do a little clapping activity right now, and I would like you to tell me what I am clapping. It's going to be a song. What song was that? I heard the Flintstones. Any other guesses? Who has no idea? Most people. What if I told you that that is a song that has sold over 8 million copies? That is Hey Jude by the Beatles. Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better. Right? Even if I took a simpler song, a lot of the time, you probably wouldn't get it. And that's because I just gave you one part of the story. In my head, that song was perfectly clear. I knew exactly what to clap. But what did you hear? You heard random clapping. And so a lot of the time, when we give things that we think are trainings, we are giving the clapping, but we are not giving the song. Try that at home. That's a fun way to explain why a lot of us are doing training wrong. So I think that most of what we think of customer education is actually just product knowledge dump. It doesn't contain the context. And customers don't care about using your product, right? Is that offensive? No, they don't care intrinsically about using your product. They care about outcomes. They care about how it's going to help them do their job better. They care about the why. So when we do customer education, we really have to focus on enabling that why. So why do companies invest in customer education? Typically, you're going to see it come from a couple of places. In historical companies that have been around more than a few years, If they're doing education or training services, it's because it's a professional service, it's on a P&L, you're trying to generate revenue. Newer companies, it's emerging a little more ad hoc, organically. The rogue CSM all of a sudden sprouts training, and then they're the trainer. And it's amazing, but it's not disciplined. What are some other reasons? Oh, customers keep asking for on-site training as a service, so I guess we should offer that. Send that rogue CSM out. Well, someone needs to write all these support articles, so now all of a sudden we have documentation. CSMs are delivering the same training over and over. That should be someone's job. Or, Salesforce has an academy. That looks like a cool marketing activity. Let's do one of those. So all fair reasons to start, but not necessarily ones that are going to actually help you develop an intentional customer education program that drives your business. So let's talk about what customer education should actually be used for. It should be used as the scale engine of your customer success team. What do I mean by that? I mean that you have CSMs that are delivering training every day to customers, whether they know it or not. You have support agents who are educating customers every day. So an effective customer education program should help you package that and put it in the frame of the user's experience. So there are a lot of people who are doing this well already. I think Hootsuite, HubSpot, Salesforce, Trailhead are really good examples in their own sense of customer education. How do you stack up to that? How does your program actually stack up to these experiences? So we took inspiration from these as well at Optimizely, and we developed the Optiverse. This is our consolidated portal where we have our community, our knowledge base, our academy, our certification programs, and a lot more. One of the things that we did and decided to focus on was making these all mutually discoverable, making these all feel like one coherent experience. So when you go to Optiverse, you have an opportunity to do all of these things, and they interact with each other. So it's harder for you to get lost as a customer. And once we released Optiverse, we first released it in 2014, we saw a meaningful impact on our business. So let's talk about some of the metrics that you could expect to drive if you're creating education as a scale engine. So number one, you should be able to see an impact on your support deflection rates, especially if you don't have a built-out customer education program already. We didn't before we released it. We had a knowledge base. And you could see the tickets were going up, 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 up. April 2014, when we first released Optiverse, immediately that contact rate plummeted. Now, you won't see that necessarily on an ongoing basis because, especially if you're driving adoption, customers naturally might start submitting more tickets. That's a good thing. But you don't want it spiraling out of control like that. This is a good way to make your business case if you have this happening to your tickets right now. But you don't just want to stop at support. I think an effective customer education program also leverages a lot of the adoption activities of the CSM. So you should be able to see correlation between product adoption and engagement with your education materials. So in our academy, for instance, we do a rolling analysis where we say, the more courses you're taking in our academy, what effect does that have on the number of experiments that you run in Optimizely? And that actually has a positive correlation. You'll notice that's not causation. We don't have the sample size to prove causation, but that's okay. Because even if you imagine that this whole thing happens in reverse, we know that our successful customers are engaging with Academy. That's a trait of a successful customer. So that's pretty cool. On the right, we did a predictive analysis with our data science team. Make friends with your data science team and your business analysts if you haven't. Customers who view education materials in months 1 through 3 are more likely to run additional MUVs, monthly unique visitors, through Optimizely in month 4. So we at least know on a high level that engaging with Optiverse is a predictor of later success. And finally, we did, so this is annualized net expansion. That's our cute term for net retention. But we saw that for customers who didn't interact with Optiverse on the whole, they had an 88% renewal rate. Viewed Optiverse, that got a 94% net retention. And if they engaged in Optiverse, that customer base was actually expanding overall. You won't be able to do these types of studies from day one. But as you start to build out a program, these are the types of effects that you should be driving towards. All right, cool. So quick tour. There are a few different components of Optiverse, like I mentioned earlier. We have the knowledge base. This is a way for us to scale solutions, not just support content, but also strategy. We have over 70 articles that have nothing to do with how to use our product or any support issues. They are all about how Optimizely helps you do your job more broadly, how to run effective experiments. So if you're only focusing on support and product, not focusing on industry, you have money left on the table. But it's also not enough for us to just do the knowledge base. Customers can really easily find the knowledge base by searching in Google, by following links out of our product, by interacting with our support reps and our CSMs. We also want to expose that in product. So just like Zendesk, the Zendesk example earlier, we surface a lot of this content in product as well. So you have an onboarding tour that you can take in product that gives you resources. We also surface contextual help based on what you're trying to do. We have our academy, which was a response to customers saying, well, it's great that you have all this documentation, but I want a linear path to value. Again, some customers like to explore and search. Others really want to find that path, step by step by step. And then finally, we have our community. So social learning is really important. And we want to make sure that our customers have a space to go to talk to each other, not just, again, about support issues, but also about what's happening in the industry, what strategies make them successful. So there are a few ways that we do this. And this can be encapsulated in our 3 educational values. Number 1, learn through interaction. Make sure that everything we do is interactive in some way, because you don't learn if you passively consume. That was the info dump model. Second, industry education beats product training. You can't get away with not having product training, but product training only gets you so far. You want to make sure that you're really thinking about your customer and what's going to make them successful in their roles, in their jobs, in the long term. That's a reason for them to engage with you, not just because you taught them what your features did. And then third, again, we're an experimentation company, so we believe in test, learn, iterate. The first version of all those things I showed you looked very different from the things that you see now, but we iterated our way towards them. We listened to the data. A lot of the data was the data that you saw earlier. We didn't get that right from day one. And so as you start to progress and get more mature, your education program will grow with your CS team. So take a look and think, where's my CS program today? Are we really focused on reactive service? If so, then your education program is probably going to be reactive too, and it's going to be someone's second or third job. But as you start to get more mature, then you should start focusing on getting more repeatable. Get your onboarding trading decks to be consistent with each other. Don't just have every CSM come up with their own version of it. Have repeatable sessions. Start to get more scalable. Structure your education programs. Tie them to metrics and milestones. Set goalposts for discoverability and value of your content. And then finally, as you are reaching really higher level of maturity, you should be optimizing over time. Education should occur with your customer lifecycle. So there are some metrics that you can tie to as you do that. I showed you some of them earlier. But these are going to get more sophisticated as your program gets more mature. So at the beginning, you're probably just fulfilling immediate content gaps. But as time goes on, start measuring satisfaction. Do your customers like the experience they're getting? Then start looking at the broader context. What is my education program doing for ticket deflection, product usage, retention, team ratios? How many CSMs do I need to staff versus customer education managers? Because if you have one person thinking content all day, and if you have one person delivering a lot of that content in a structured way, think about what that does to your CSM ratios more broadly. It helped us in that sense too. And then once you start getting really fancy, you can start thinking about attribution and revenue. But I would say don't start there. So if you're doing this right, education is more than just a scale engine. It's a competitive differentiator for your business, and it is for ours. So let's treat customer education as a program, not an activity. Let's make a considered investment in it. I have 2 quotes to show what that looks like, because it's not just about the quantitative metrics, it's about the qualitative as well. So one of our enterprise customers says, "The help system is fantastic, with a depth of knowledge that even advanced users can learn from. Blows away the competition. I have salespeople come up to me and tell me that part of the reason that customers signed with us is because of Optiverse." That's pretty cool. Don't hear that about every help system that you come up with. I'm not going to read this whole quote, but quick story, one of our product managers went on site with one of our large strategic enterprise customers. Assuming that most of the self-serve content that we had was intended for our long tail of commercial customers, corporate customers, self-serve customers. But what the point of contact there said was this was actually a lifesaver for her because she could use our materials to scale out to the rest of her team. We were helping her create a center of excellence. So this is something that you can do not just with your self-serve population, but your enterprise customers are going to appreciate it too. We're not going to do questions right now. We're going to do them afterwards. But that's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.